Okay, welcome to the Downtown Den. I'm delighted to be joined today by the Chief Executive of Halton Borough Council, David Parr. David and I go back way too many years. And I don't know whether I'm disappointed, pleased for him, disappointed for us, I guess, in the city region that David's about to stand down from a position he's held for many years now. But much has gone on, much has happened, an awful lot of progress, both in terms of Halton and the wider Liverpool City region. So, David, welcome to the Den, and let's talk about how you sort of took the job all those years ago at Halton, how that came about, and some of the key things that you've been involved in.
So I took over first of all, hello everybody. I took up the job in 2004. Was appointed by the then leader, Councillor Tony McDermott, who I think will be well known to many people. And since that time, worked with two more leaders, Rob Polhill and more recently, Mike Wharton. So been very well supported by the politicians in Halton. And we've been on a journey, and we set two goals really when we started the journey some 18 years ago: to improve Halton and to create opportunities for Halton people. So to improve the education, the skills, create more jobs, build new homes, and also develop the leisure and the employment opportunities. And I think we've made great progress. Job's still not done, and Stephen Young, who's going to take over as Chief Exec at Halton, will bring his own stamp to the job from the 1st of April, and I wish him well, and Councillor Wharton, because the job's never done, as we know. But we have improved educational attainment. We've got a number of outstanding schools in Halton now. Riverside College is regarded as one of the best colleges in the northwest of England and has an outstanding status. And for me, one of the really significant things is that Halton young people are now going to university, but they're not just going to university, they're going to Oxbridge. And that's something that young people in Halton never aspired to, and it's fantastic that they're aspiring to that now, and that we're supporting them into that. But we're also supporting people into apprenticeships and developing their skills, because we want them to have every opportunity to get a really good job. And in that respect, we've been developing our economy, and we've reprofiled the economy really of Halton. You know, its history is in the chemical industry, as many of you will know. But we've reprofiled that in recent years. Logistics is playing a really important part of Halton's agenda, and science and innovation. So we've managed to develop a number of employment opportunities, 3MG, so the Mersey Multimodal Gateway. You can see why we call it 3MG, it's a bit of a mouthful otherwise. The Widnes waterfront, we've attracted Alstom to Widnes. We've got a huge development on Gawsey Point in Widnes now. The Heath Business Park in Runcorn's going from strength to strength. We've got some hidden gems in Manor Park in Runcorn. We're developing Asmore, which is right on the edge of Mersey Gateway, which we'll touch on in a minute. And of course, we've got the world-class SciTech Daresbury here in Halton, where science and innovation's really thriving. And you put that together with some of the world-class businesses that we've got, people like Stobarts, who are now Culina, and Innovin, Ineos, Alstom, Carpenter Additives, who make printing powder for 3D printers, biggest in the world. Fresenius, who make medical equipment to a very high standard. Sigmatex, who make the paint that goes onto racing cars. So there's some really big employers here. And I think what we've been able to do is, working with the Chamber, working with business, working with the city region and the Metro Mayor, and working with Cheshire and Warrington as well, that partnerships enabled us to drive what is regarded as one of the fastest growing and strongest economies in the Northwest. It's really important, though, you've got to connect that. And you mentioned Mersey Gateway, Frank, and obviously Mersey Gateway is, people always say, is that your biggest achievement, David? Well, it's an achievement for everybody who was involved in it, and many people were involved in it. You and other colleagues supported it over the years, both business and the public sector. So that connectivity is really important, because it means we can move people and goods around, not just Halton, but the Northwest. But we're not just settled on that. We're developing Runcorn Station Quarter, because that West Coast mainline station at Runcorn is really important for parts of the Liverpool City region, parts of Cheshire and Warrington. So we're doing a lot of work, put 10, 15 million pounds worth of investment into that. And if you've not been to the station at Runcorn in recent times, please get out there, because you'll find it's a different experience. It's become a destination rather than somewhere you just pass through, and that's what we want it to be. But we've also maintained our links with Liverpool John Lennon Airport, and obviously Manchester Airport. I know I can't talk about Manchester Airport in a Liverpool City region context because of all the football rivalries, but both airports are really important to our economy because we can attract world-class businesses into the area. So that is really fundamental in terms of our connectivity. But we're also developing new walking ways and new cycleways as well. So lots going on around that connectivity and that economy. Lots of new houses being built, both social housing, private rented, private owned. So we've got a mix of properties to attract families and different income bands as well. So very important to create homes for people. You know, houses are what people build and homes are what people make of them. So we're really keen to develop homes rather than just houses. And we need things for people to do when they're not at work. So we developed the Hive. You know, people laughed at me when we said we were going to build an ice rink in Widnes, and we've got one. And we've got an ice hockey team. We've got perhaps delivering for the whole of the wider Northwest, really, because there's only a couple of ice rinks around. You know, one in Altrincham, and then you've got to go into Wales for the other one. So creating opportunities, put a cinema in Widnes that hadn't been there for many, many years. The Brindley Arts Centre is fantastic venue for theatre, and we're developing that further as part of the Runcorn Town deal. And we've developed our shopping offer as well in Widnes and in Runcorn at Shopping City. And we've still looked after Widnes Market, because often people define places by their local market, and Widnes Market has got a really strong footfall. It's very, it attracts people from far and wide. So there's a lot going on, Frank, and still more to come. But at the same time, we've maintained our core services, which is important. You know, the bins still get emptied. Yeah. We look after vulnerable old people. We protect vulnerable children. You know, we cut the grass. Perhaps not as often as people would like us to these days, but we still cut the grass, and we keep people safe through our community safety activities, and especially through the COVID years, we've been trying our best to maintain the support to our most vulnerable, and that's been a commitment from our members. We will support our most vulnerable and give them the greatest opportunity to thrive and succeed. So quite a lot going on, and more to come.
Yeah, a lot for you to be proud of. A whistle-stop tour, in a sense, of some of the great initiatives that you've delivered during your time at the council, as you say, your team at the local authority as well. And I've often thought Halton, little bit sort of quietly under the radar, getting on with things. But you mentioned there, you know, your links with the Liverpool City region, but then crucially, I think, Cheshire and Warrington as well, because I think the trick that you guys have pulled off, and it's not an easy one, is to be able to really take advantage of that geographical location that you've got. So you haven't just thrown all your eggs in the Liverpool City region basket because you're on the combined authority, play a full and active role there, but you've recognised that on the other side, we've got another growing economy driven by Warrington, but the wider Cheshire as well. And as I say, it's always been something I've admired, David, the way Halton has been able to ride both horses, obviously to the benefit of Liverpool and to Cheshire, but equally some really big positives for you guys in those relationships as well.
Absolutely, and we're teased sometimes about being the okey cokey council. You know, are we in, are we out? Well, we've been always very clear about this. We're in if it makes a difference, and we're out if it doesn't. Yeah. You know, we've sometimes been called the Switzerland of the Northwest because we play with everybody. But I think as a small authority, and we are a relatively small authority, partnerships always been paramount for us. And I think you achieve more working in partnership and collaboratively. You know, people say, well, how have you achieved this? Small authority looking in all sorts of directions. Well, hard work is the starting point. We've got a lot of people who work hard, but through partnership and collaboration, great team effort, got a lot of committed people. Our members are committed, council staff, our partners and business are committed. And we've also tried to develop our own people and grow our own so that people understand the way we work and the way we operate. We've also actually learned a lot, because working with places like the Liverpool City region and Cheshire and Warrington, we've learned from their skill sets, because Halton's never going to have the economy that Liverpool's got or Warrington have got, but we can learn lessons from them. And we can work with them collaboratively, because a lot of our residents will maybe work in Liverpool or will play in Warrington. So it's important that we understand their world as well as our world. And in particular, you know, in recent times, we've worked closely at a political level with Steve Rotherham as the Metro Mayor. That relationship is a strong relationship, I think, across the city region. I think the Metro Mayor and the leaders and the Mayor of Liverpool work very effectively together. We work very effectively together as local authorities and local authority chief execs. And I think we're actually stronger together than we are individually. And we've all got lots of jewels that we can polish. And if we polish our own jewels, you know, Daresbury's a good example, Cytec. You know, if we polish that and work hard on that, that benefits the wider city region, it benefits Cheshire and Warrington. So there's mutual benefit in working together. And there's been a great deal of maturity in that process, because I think it's tough when new organisations set up. You know, I was involved in the original setting up of the Liverpool City region before we had a mayor, when it was the first iteration of that. And, you know, we had to learn how to do things differently. And then when we had a mayoral model and Steve came on board, we had to all learn how to work in that environment. And that's difficult because everybody wants to do their bit. But I think as time's passed, that relationship across the city region and Cheshire and Warrington's really blossomed. And I think we're now starting to see some real benefits. And there's a lot of really talented people, Frank, you know that, in business, in the voluntary community faith sector, within local government, very dedicated and committed politicians who are trying their hardest to improve their area and create opportunities for their people. And sometimes we don't always get it right. And sometimes we have to do things that are unpopular, but we have to do that to deliver the outcomes that are the best for the majority, because you cannot please all the people. If you want to do a job where you please everybody, don't come into local government. because the same decision made on exactly the same grounds, 50% can be happy with it and 50% can be unhappy with it, but it's still the same decision. And that's just the nature of working with a very diverse population who've all got views, and thank goodness they have. You know, it's really important that we listen to our communities and we embrace their ideas, because that's what we're here for at the end of the day.
I mentioned, David, that you know you've looked both ways in terms of growing your economy, working partnership, the collaboration piece that you've touched upon there. But a couple of interesting projects that I was sort of partially involved in. The first, which must have been not long after you'd landed in Halton, I guess, I introduced James Barton, who was the founder of the Cream brand, to Tony Mack. And anyone who doesn't know Tony was a head teacher, and glasses, slightly balding on the head, didn't look like your archetypal raver, let's put it that way. So the idea of introducing James Barton from Cream to Tony was perhaps a little bit of a head scratcher to some people, but I'd obviously worked with Tony at the North West Assembly, knew that he was really ambitious for Halton and wanted to get things into the place that would put it on the map. And that must have been one of the easiest deals ever done. I mean, my involvement was literally putting those two guys in a room. And James Barton said to me afterwards, I can't believe that guy's a councillor. So easy to deal with. Do you have any memories of that? And then what's happened with the Greenfields brand since then?
So I do remember it. I had many meetings with James and with Tony, and they are chalk and cheese, really, aren't they, in many respects? But for us, this was about saving Creamfields for the Liverpool City region, because with development taking place, I think it was in Speak at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it had to move. Yeah. And James was talking to people all around the Northwest, and he could have gone anywhere, but we were able to facilitate a deal with Lord Daresbury up at Daresbury, and James did his deal. We weren't involved in the commercials. That was between Lords Daresbury and James, but we were able to facilitate that, and that really saved Creamfields for the wider Liverpool City region. So instead of revellers having to travel, to the other side of the Northwest or further, they could just jump on a bus or in a taxi out of Liverpool or St Helens or Warrington or Runcorn and get to Creamfields. And it's gone from strength to strength. It started as a one-day gig, and now it's a full long weekend with camping. It is a logistical nightmare for us, and also I think it's the biggest event Cheshire Police, because of course we're policed by Cheshire rather than Merseyside, so it's a big deal. But it's really brought a lot of prominence to Halton, and it's created an opportunity for our young people and not so young people to go and party. And, it's one thing creating jobs and opportunities and giving people good education so that they can develop their careers and build their families. But we want people to have a good time as well. And Creamfields created that opportunity. And long may it continue to go from strength to strength. We have had some challenges with it. We had one year where it flooded. I don't know whether you can remember that. We had an emergency incident where I was watching what was going on from police command in Winsford, while many of my staff were wading through water up to their chest to check everybody was safe in their waterlogged tents. So it's not been an easy ride. But again, the good thing is we have the emergency planning arrangements in place. Nobody was injured or lost their life, and that's really fundamental. So we got our job right, and we learnt a lesson, and Creamfields put the tents on a bit higher land next year, so it worked okay. So it's been a really positive success, and I think it's going to continue for some time to come.
And then the next time that I really got involved in anything in your neck of the woods was the Mersey Gateway. And David, you and I had many a conversation in the run-up to that project being delivered. Again, people drive over there now, it's just second nature, it's taken for granted. It's like, isn't this a fantastic piece of infrastructure? Makes life so much easier in terms of connectivity in this part of the Northwest now. Wasn't always the case, was it? We did have some significant opposition, and again, a huge controversy, looking back now seems strange, over the fact that we might have to charge a toll for this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest project that any local authority's ever done in England, and we're the fourth smallest authority in the country, and we delivered it. But again, we didn't deliver it on our own. We built a partnership with the business sector, and that was a powerful sector going into government, because businesses were saying we need better connectivity. I sat in a meeting with Stobarts in front of the Transport Minister, and Transport Minister said, "Are you okay with it being tolled?" And the Stobarts guy said, "Yeah, because when my vehicles are moving, they make me money. When they're not moving, they don't make me money. So I'd rather have my vehicles moving and pay a toll than have them sat there an hour queuing." So that was quite a powerful voice. And then we had great support from our local authority colleagues as well. And we worked hard at that support, because when we needed to rally the troops were there to support us. And yeah, it is tolled, and it has to be, because it has to be paid for. But most businesses are now telling us that the toll is just something that sits within their accounts. because they're making more money moving goods around than they are paying tolls. So it's helped businesses to thrive, and it's brought new businesses to Halton as well, and to the wider city region, Cheshire and Warrington. And it's a really attractive structure. I drive over there every single day, 2 or 3 times a day. And when the sun's out like it is today, and aren't we glad we've got some sun after all the rain we've had? And it looks really attractive. I'm going to sound like a bit of a Bridgehanger right now, but it looks really attractive. And we were really keen to get an attractive structure, because the city region has got lots of attractive structures, and we wanted Mersey Gateway to be one of them. But the other thing, I drove over last night when I was going home after a late meeting, and we put some architectural lighting on Mersey Gateway so we can light it up. And it was lit up last night in blue and yellow, supporting the Ukrainian population who are having a horrible time at the moment. So it gives us an opportunity as a local community to make a statement to the world. And when those 3 pillars are lit up, they're really imposing on the Mersey estuary. So it offers much, much more than transport connectivity. And we called it a bridge to prosperity. And it very much has been a bridge to prosperity. And I'm really privileged to have been part of it, Frank. Lots of people put a lot of hard work in to get it.
It's certainly a fantastic legacy, one of several that you've got. But I wanted to just ask your opinion, really, of the thing that we've been talking about for 10 years now, called the Northern Powerhouse, because obviously you're very much embedded and involved with the Liverpool City region and the devolved government that's emerged here. But clearly you're taking interest in what's happening in the wider north, because it is important to that wider economy and economic growth for all of us. Just wondered what you've sensed was the position with the Powerhouse now. Is it something that is just seen as a bit of a badge? Is it something that is still real and genuine, the government are committed to? Where do you think the next steps for the Powerhouse and for devolution may go?
So the first thing I would say, it's really dangerous to ask a retiring chief executive for his opinion, because you might not get what you expect. But on this one, I think you might. The North has been underinvested in for too long. You know, I'm a northern lad and I've got a chip on both shoulders. I'm from the other side of the Pennines, as you know, from Yorkshire, so please forgive me for that. But I have been doing missionary work over here in Lancashire in the city region for the best part of 30 years. So I think I'm almost an honorary Lancastrian. But for me, the levelling up agenda has to level up not just the economy, but our communities. Because in Halton, we've got a really thriving, strong economy, but some of our communities are vulnerable. They're vulnerable because of their health inequalities. They're vulnerable because of their wealth inequalities. And we want to ensure that they get the benefit of the levelling up agenda. And I think a northern voice is much more powerful than an individual voice. And Steve Rotherham is a powerful voice, and Andy Burnham is a powerful voice. But if Andy and Steve stand shoulder to shoulder with the leaders of all the local authorities across the north of England, that's a much more powerful voice. And if we can get that voice to be a multi-party voice for the north, that's even more powerful. Our connectivity, you know, I regularly drive backwards and forwards to Sheffield, and I have to travel over the Pennines. And whether I travel by train or by car, that's a difficult journey. And that connectivity needs to be improved, east-west, as well as the north-south. And I think the HS2 will help to link us more to the south, but it also runs the risk of dragging the south closer to us as well. And it's really important that we work together on transportation, that we work together on our economy. And one thing that we're really strong on, in particularly the Northwest, particularly the Liverpool City region, Cheshire and Warrington, is our green energy agenda. You know, HyNet in particular, and the hydrogen agenda. And that's very much in our thoughts in Halton as we reprofile our economy again. We have Ineos here that produces hydrogen. They store hydrogen in Cheshire. We've got Alstom building hydrogen trains. We've got Arriva running our hydrogen buses. That's clean, green energy. And as we see gas prices going through the roof and electricity prices going through the roof, we need to look at alternative sources of energy. Hydrogen and the North West in particular are well placed to be the energy source, the clean, green energy source of the immediate future. So I think the North and the Northern Powerhouse, or whatever we call it, it's been called lots of different things, Frank, hasn't it? I just call it the North, because that's for me, that's a massive power base, and we need to keep reminding government that the North has plenty to offer. Let's not forget the industrial revolution in this country started in the North, and I think the next revolution in terms of the green, clean revolution is going to start here as well. And I think we're well placed to help the national economy thrive. So I'm a great advocate of working together in partnership across not just the Northwest, but across the north of England.
Good to end on a positive note, David. But listen, let me ask you this before you go. You depart, as you say, 1st of April. You've done, well, since 2004. I'm not great at maths, but that's 18 years by my reckoning. What's planned for the future for Mr. Parr?
So the starting point is I don't intend to get up at 5 o'clock every morning, but I'm going to do what I want to do. I've worked a long time doing serving my community and with pride and being privileged to do that. So I'm going to spend a bit more time with my family, my grandchildren, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going to do a bit of voluntary work, and I might do a bit of consultancy work if anybody's daft enough to listen to my opinion. But I'm looking forward to having a bit more time, because I don't think people always understand how all-consuming these jobs are. And my colleagues in public service will understand, the 70, 80 hours a week that we often work, 365 days a year, and you're never really off duty, and it does take a lot out of you. So I'm ready for a bit of a rest, Frank. But what I would ask is, there are lots of my colleagues that are working really, really hard for the Liverpool City region, for Cheshire, Warrington, for their communities. And please, through your networks, through your business networks, through the local community, work with them, support them. And if they do stuff that you're not liking too much, try and understand that with them, because they are really talented people, and we're really blessed to have so many talented people, both in the public and private sector, in the Liverpool City region and in Cheshire and Warrington and in Halton. And I'm hoping, and I'm very confident, that they will continue to take the area from strength to strength.
David, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you for all these years. It's been great to see the progress that you've made and the Halton's made during those past 18 years or so. And the very, very best wishes from everyone here at Downtown in Business for your future, for your, what sounds to me is going to be a semi-retirement at best.
Thanks, Frank. And in the best Looney Tunes, that's all, folks.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. All the best. Take care. Bye now.
If you enjoyed that video, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel on the link below, and be among the first to get to listen to all the latest interviews through the Downtown Den.